Buy your gold and silver from ST Bullion. Right now, new customers can get gold or silver at spot by visiting stbullion.com/new. Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be discussing, you guessed it, silver bars. And specifically, we're going to be getting into vintage silver bars like this 10-ounce silver bar from Engelhard and poured silver bars like this 3-ounce poured silver bar from Monarch Precious Metals. Now, one thing that vintage silver bars and poured silver bars have in common, they both command a bit of a collectible premium, or at least they can sometimes in the market. They have a bit of a higher price, a bit of a higher premium associated with them than your typical generic silver bars. And after all, one of the reasons that we like silver bars, especially big silver bars like this 1 kilo bar from BPM, is that they provide a way to get low premium silver, some of the lowest cost per ounce for your precious metals that you can find. And that's why I like to stack them so much. But really, with vintage silver bars, today I want to talk about how you can use that collectible premium to build a bit of an extra margin of safety into your silver stack to add some extra value to it, and how this is one area where I believe there's kind of an overlap between the collectible stackers on one hand and value stackers on the other hand, the folks who just want to get the most value, the most bang for their buck when they are stacking silver. So to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, let's start off with this Engelhard bar. Now, all the bars that you see on your screen right here, I picked all of them up on a recent trip to a local coin shop. And this bar right here, when I bought this, the spot price was around 24 bucks an ounce, and I paid $270 for this. So a $3 premium over the spot price. And that might seem like kind of a lot for just a silver bar, a 10-ounce silver bar. What's different between this one and any other generic 10-ounce bar? Well, take a look at this eBay listing here for a very similar bar to the one that I picked up. And you can see this bar just sold for $333. And that's because Engelhard bars, they're vintage, haven't made bars in a long time. There's a limited supply of them. And people like these bars. They collect them, so they're willing to pay an additional premium for them. But if you notice, I didn't pay that additional premium. I paid 27 bucks. Now, this bar was more expensive than some of the other 10-ounce bars that they had at that local coin shop. But I knew when I saw this that these are collectible, and I thought that 27 bucks an ounce was a steal. And now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to take this bar and try to go flip it for more than what I paid for it, but I am very happy to have that in my stack, and I just know there are collectors who are willing to pay considerably more than the spot price of silver for this bar, and those deals are out there. And this is kind of an example of how small-time stackers, folks like me and you who are going out buying a couple $100 worth of bullion at any given time, can really use that fact to our advantage. Because the thing is, online dealers and local coin shops, a lot of times, they're moving a lot of product. They don't have time to go through each and every bullion product that comes in their door. They probably paid spot to somebody for this silver bar who just needed to sell it. And so they don't have the time to go mark it up to, exactly what its collectible price is. And they also don't have the time to sit on it and wait for that right buyer who collects these things to come through their door. So if you familiarize yourself with these products, you can oftentimes get a really good deal on them. Another example is these STL Mint bars that I picked up. So you notice these are kind of blackened, and I believe what these are part of actually is a series that the St. Louis Mint ran called Blackbeard's Treasure. And you'll notice that these have serial numbers on the back. So I got number 420 and 421. I paid 27 bucks for these, which again, you might think that that's kind of a high premium for a 1-ounce silver bar, $3 over spot. But take a look at this listing from eBay where somebody just paid $46.99 for one of these. And here's another listing where someone paid $39 for one of these 1-ounce silver bars. And so again, am I going to go flip this? Am I going to go try and sell these for more than I bought them for? Well, I could do that, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not looking to sell any of my silver. I'm still stacking. But this is sort of just like a margin of safety. If I really wanted to, if I wanted to take the time to sell this to a collector, I could almost certainly get more than what I paid for it. And so I just like the ability to build that margin of safety into my stack. And when the time comes that I want to sell these things, maybe I'll just sell them in mass to a bullion dealer if I need to move them quickly. But if I have the time to look for a collector, I'll be able to get more money for my silver right off the bat. You know, that's pretty nice. But with your typical generic silver bullion, like this 1 kilo bar, you know, if I buy this at a coin shop and I want to go sell it, I'm probably going to take a haircut on that. You know, I'm going to maybe buy it for $1 over spot. And then when I go to sell it, maybe I'll get spot price. So immediately I'm in the red. Now, this is a long-term hold, so that type of thing doesn't usually bother me. But when I go out and I buy a 1 ounce silver bar for $27 and then I can sell it for 40 or 47, I think that that is kind of a unique aspect of stacking vintage silver bars and collectible silver bars. So this is certainly something that is worth familiarizing yourself with. This is one area where small-time stackers really can have the advantage to kind of go through products, pick through them, find the ones they like. You know, if you're buying thousands of dollars worth of silver at a shot, your main advantage is that you're just buying in quantity. You're going to get the quantity pricing, but you don't have time to go out and say, well, give me this bar and this bar and this bar. You know, you just are buying in bulk. Maybe you're buying Eagles, maybe you're buying generics, but you're not picking individual products. And so this is one place where being a small stacker really can be to your advantage. And there aren't too many of those areas. So this is something that small stackers should familiarize themselves with. Another bar I'd like to show you, this Johnson Matthey bar. So the place where I bought this actually had it priced as generic silver. I paid $25 an ounce for this, so $250 for this 10 ounce bar. And you can see here on this eBay listing that one of these, very similar to this bar, basically the same thing, just sold for $290. So again, right off the bat, I am in the green. It's a margin of safety. I'm not trying to flip it, but I just like that extra value that I'm getting. And speaking of Johnson Matthey bars, I was recently on a trip to the SD Bullion Vault, and I had the privilege of speaking with the SD Bullion COO, Cole Keller, specifically about vintage Johnson Matthey bars, and we were taking a look at some 100 ounce Johnson Matthey bars. Here, check it out. Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here today at SD Bullion headquarters, and I've got Cole here from SD Bullion who's going to fill us in on some of the history of these Johnson Matthey silver bars. So what can you tell me about these, Cole?
Yeah, Johnson Matthey as an entity has existed for well over 100 years throughout the space in both finished good product, industrial refining, and everything along the source. What they did around 20 to 25 years ago is they focused their business to get out of more of the finished good products like we're looking at today and focus more on industrial use. As of approximately mid-2023 to sometime into 2022, they began to reintroduce product back into the marketplace with their iconic logo. So that's what you're seeing some of here is some of that more freshly produced product, which is really, really beautiful. It still carries the Johnson Matthey brand in the entire history that supports that brand, and our customers always like it. You see extruded bars here on the top. You see bars that are 30 years old. They're all equally beautiful, just have different appeals for everyone. And so they're back in the marketplace. We carry their gold bars as well, and we're really excited about that.
So taking a look at some of the specific bars. Now, some of these are new and some of them are kind of vintage. Tell me about the differences.
Yeah, so some of the newer bars are going to have this poured loaf look. They could have been made within the last couple months, maybe a year or so. Johnson Matthey also did those originally back in the 60s and 70s. Now these are the extruded bars, what they call them. These can be somewhere between 50 and 80 years old, generally speaking. Just kind of depends on what you get. Of course, they don't look necessarily as shiny. We certainly don't clean them or touch them. That's part of the appeal for us and our customers. This one back here is particularly dirty, but that's part of the fun element of collecting bars, buying things out of our generic SKUs or the vintage SKUs. We sell these specifically as extruded bars. They are harder to come by, so it's exciting to have them on the shelf to show you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know what you might get. Now, do these extruded bars, the older ones, do they carry a bit of an additional premium?
Absolutely. Anytime that we find something that's got such a story associated with it, the Johnson Matthey brand has, of course, a renowned story. They've been around forever. One of the most trusted brands in metals. And we find a bar that may be, like I said, 50 to 80 years old. There's quite a collector base. Same thing for Engelhard's, where people will really fight over themselves to add these to their stack, because at some point it does get a little bit monotonous to just have another poor generic bar just sitting on the shelf. People want something they can talk about. And all these products, all these brands that you see today, each of them has a little bit of a unique story. It gives you an opportunity to educate yourself as a customer and an investor.
Yeah, you can get some precious metals, a hard asset, but you also own a piece of history when you stack a bar like this. So these are some of my favorite forms of silver bullion. So as you can see there's the opportunity to get vintage bars like this from online dealers as well. As Cole said there, you never know what you're going to get when you order some of their generic SKUs. And it's not so much that with an online dealer you're going to be able to pick and choose, but if you do come into a collectible vintage bar that you get when ordering a generic SKU from, say, ST Bullion, you should hopefully have the knowledge to recognize that and understand that a bar like this is going to have a higher value than your typical 10-ounce generic bar. So it's worth it to familiarize yourself with this information just so you can kind of spot these deals out in the wild, or when you get one in an online order, you know what you have there. Now, this poured bar here from Monarch Precious Metals, this is not really a vintage bar. I mean, they still make bars, but the poured bars are really beautiful, and they do have a bit of a higher manufacturing cost than some of the other types of silver bars. And you can see they have, just this kind of unique rippling pattern. They're really beautiful. And for that reason, oftentimes these too will command a somewhat higher premium than your typical generic bullion. Now, I paid $25 an ounce for all of these 3-ounce Monarch Precious Metals bars, and you can see here another sold completed eBay listing. One of these just went for $96.99. So that's someone willing to pay over $30 an ounce for these bars. And the price of silver actually has dropped by about $1 since I bought these, but still I consider them to be in the green because I know someone's out there willing to pay more than $30 an ounce for these poured silver bars. So look, knowledge is power here, and it can help you spot deals. Another bar I picked up, this 1-ounce Prospector's silver bar. Here's a listing where you can see one of these just went for $29.99. So maybe not as big a margin of safety as with some of these other products, but still, I'm always happy to pay $25 for something that may be worth a bit more than that. And it's not always going to be something you hit out of the park. I didn't sit there at the local coin shop and check listings on eBay for all of these individual things. I think that's a little bit weird. So I just grabbed ones that looked like they would have a bit of an additional premium with them. I think I did okay. And it's an example of why you need to be familiar with this, before you go to the coin shop rather than trying to do your research on the spot. One last bar I bought that I thought was cool was this one from Precious Metals. It's a 3-ounce poured bar. Now, I actually wasn't able to find any of these selling on the secondary market. It's kind of a limited mintage thing, but I did think it was just a beautiful bar. Has a really cool finish. Shout out to the guy who pours these. You can find him on Instagram at Silver Will Prosper, and I think he's doing some nice work. But listen, poured silver bars and vintage silver bars, if you are a value stacker, but you also have a little bit of the collector in you like I do, and you like getting a good deal, these are things you should familiarize yourself with. Now, I'm certainly not saying you need to go out and find, vintage Engelhard bars and pay $35 an ounce or $40 an ounce for some of the, more obscure ones. There's Engelhard bars that'll sell for way over spot if you do your research. But I'm not suggesting you do that to build up a collection of these, but I am suggesting that you become familiar with these products because there are opportunities sometimes to get these for well below their collectible or market value. And the only thing that's really going to help you spot those is having that knowledge. And a good way to get that knowledge before you're out there stacking is to go on eBay, plug in the term silver bars, filter by sold auctions, and look at what the various types of silver bars are selling for. And it doesn't cost you anything. If you are a small-time stacker, let's say you've got more time on your hands, perhaps than extra cash to be putting into silver, then this information can really make your stacking dollar go a little bit further. At least that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you stack vintage silver bars? Do you stack poured silver bars? I would love to know what you have to say about this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe and happy stacking, and I will catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker, out.